Hello, welcome to Rag Rugs by Erin. I'm Erin Halvorsen and thank you for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about how to make a crochet heart rag rug, and here's one example. So this is what we're going to be shooting for, and the next one the other one that we're working on, and we're going to refer to this rug, is this pink one. So we're going to be talking about how to start this, how to increase the stitches, how to maintain the stitches at the same width, and how to decrease the stitches, how to find the center point, and how to decide how to start these lobes. So we'll be covering several different things and also how to finish it. So we've got a lot of things to cover, and we'll probably have a few episodes, a few parts that we'll have to keep referring to. So let's go ahead and jump right in and get started. Of course, we use sheet yarn when we're making this. And on my videos, I have several videos telling you how to make sheet yarn, how to make no-sew sheet yarn, and no-sew sheet yarn tips. So here we go. I want to go over the tools as I always do. This is an N or an O is the size that I usually use. Okay, 10 millimeter. This is a tapestry needle, and you can see that large hole there. Please don't buy a plastic one, you've heard me say, because they tend to fall apart. It's very easy to thread. Sometimes they call them yarn needles. You'll need that to finish. And then a good pair of scissors is always important. Actually, I'm thinking I need to sharpen mine soon. So let's go ahead and jump right in. I already have the sheet yarn already started and made. And I've been using a bowl a little bit more often, a heavy bottom bowl. Because this thing tends to roll around, and if it's a heavy bottom bowl, it doesn't tend to roll away from you. So let's go ahead and get started. So Mr. Cameraman, let me move this out of your way. We're going to start with a slip knot. You're going to take the longer end, cross over, and pull it through the longer end. Make sure you leave your tail long enough, because we'll show you how to finish it. And it's hard to thread it if it's too short. A lot of times I incorporate it in. In this one, I don't think it looks as nice. There's too much bulk in the area, so I'm going to avoid doing that. We'll finish it at the end, and I will show you how to do that. So after you get your slip knot, you're going to put your crochet hook in here. You could use a Q if you feel like, which is a bigger crochet needle, if you need a bigger handle to hold on to, or if you have arthritis or problems with your hands. You're going to hold the short end, the short material, along with your needle, and we're only going to do 4 chain stitches. Okay, so cross over and pull through, 1, cross over and pull through, 2, cross over and pull through, 3, and we're going to do the 4th one. That's all we're going to do to start this one. Okay, then we're going to flip our work, because we always work right to left. And we're not going to go into the stitch that we're already in. Matter of fact, I'm going to do it this way. I don't like the way that's twisted. We're not going to go into the hole that we're in. See, this is the stitch that we're in, the hole that we're in right there. We're not going to go into that. Here's your 3 stitches that we're going to use. 1, 2, 3. We're going to go into those holes. In order to do a single crochet, I'm going to do this fairly quickly because I show on another video how to make a single crochet, and I also show on many of my other videos as well. So you're going to place your hook into the hole. You're going to cross over and pull the material through. Now you have 2 strands of sheet yarn on here, 1, 2. Cross over and pull them both through. Okay, you're going to go back into the same hole because this is how the increase starts. On the ends, you're going to go back into the same hole. So you're going to go back into that same hole, grab your material just like you did the first single crochet. This is another single crochet. Cross over and pull them both through. So you have 2 in that hole. The center stitch, you're going to do 1 single crochet into that hole. And then the end one, because this is the end, this right here is not the end stitch. This is the hole that you're going to go into. So you're going into the hole. We're going to do 2 in this one as well. Cross over and pull it off. That's one in that hole. We're going to go back in and do another single crochet, grab it, Okay, now you have 5 stitches across. At the end of every single row, whether we're adding or decreasing or staying the same, you're going to do 1 chain stitch. So this will never change. You're going to do cross over and pull it through. That's 1 chain stitch. And then you flip your work. Yeah. Okay. Okay. You are going to then do 2 stitches into your first hole. Okay, here's your first hole. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to be using this right here. 5. In the beginning one and the ending one, we're going to do 2 single crochets. Back into the same hole. Now in the rest of them, except for the last one, we're going to do just 1 single crochet. I'm going to try to go along fairly quickly to keep this moving for you. Sometimes you're going to get your finger in there to find it. Now this is the part that took me a while to figure out how to do. Here, see these loops right here? This doesn't almost look like a stitch, but you're going to go into there and you're going to do your 2 single crochets into this hole as you increase. So go in. Sometimes if you're a tight crocheter, you're going to find that to be a bit of a challenge. I know I did, so you're going to have to just, really force it. So that's 2 single crochets. Okay, and this is how it starts off. Now you're going to do 1 chain stitch and you're going to flip your work. Again, we're going to do it one more time. Here's your first hole. You're going to do 2 single crochets into your first hole. So there's 1 and 2. The rest of these will have just single crochets into those holes as you go across. I'm going to be trying to move along quickly so I can show you the important parts, which are the ends and the transition places. I do this type of stitching a lot slower on how to make an overrug, crochet overrug 101. That is done in a slower fashion, and it's really geared towards the beginner. Also, this flipping thing is in my video that shows how to make a rag rug of many colors. Also shows this in more detail in a slower fashion if you'd like to see that. Okay, so here we are again. Kind of see how I had to kind of stick my fingers down in there? This is where you're going to put your 2. There's 1 single crochet and another single crochet. And again, you get to the end and you do 1 chain stitch. That never changes. And you flip your work. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to pretend that we are at this place. Okay, we're actually down here, and you're just going to continue on. And I did 25 rows. Feel free to do more. If you want to do more to make this a bigger rug, you can see how big this rug is. I just chose that size. You could do 30 if you wanted, or 40 if you wanted. Okay. Then this has 5 rows is what I did of the same height, because you want to have that little fullness right there. You could do 3 to 8 or 9 probably if you made a bigger rug. So I'm going to show you the technique for keeping it the same so you know how to do that. Okay, so let's show you the technique to keeping it the same. So you're going to go into that one hole, the first hole, 1 time. So you're going to just do 1 in every hole. except at the end it's a little bit different. So continue to watch. Be patient. Just one in every hole. This was a very fun rug to make. However, it is not one that you should attempt the very first time if you're a new crocheter. I would suggest that you do my Runner Rag Rug of Many Colors or the Oval Crocheted 101 rug. Those are more simplistic to start off with, and then you could go to this. If you're already a crocheter, that would be fine. You could go ahead and start with this. Alright, so here we go. We're keeping it the same. And we just go into that hole right there. And we do just one instead of two. We do the chain up, flip our work, and go right back in to that one hole right there. Okay, I'm going to just do like 2 more stitches and show you what it looks like. Okay. So that was the point, how you started the point. This is how you keep it the same. You would do like 5 rows. How you're counting your rows, I'm going to show you. We're going to switch over to the other rug, and I'm going to show you a couple things on that. Okay. So this was 25 rows before we went to that part that I just showed you that was just keeping it the same. How you count your rows is like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. See how I've done that? 8. And that's how you figure out how many rows you've done. You want to have 25. In order to have a decent sized rug, I wouldn't do any less than that, but you may want to do more. Okay, so I'm going to then show you how to figure out how to decide on where to start your lobes, your upper lobes. When I started, Mr. Cameron, I think I need you on this side. Thank you. I counted, each hole is what I counted. Okay, so I counted the holes across. And I ended up with 53 holes coming across here. Now, if you come up with 54 somehow, or something like that, there's no problem. I'm going to tell you how to do it if it's an odd or an even. If it's odd, it really works out better, in my opinion. You're going to count 50, half of 53 is actually 26 and a half. So in the 27th hole, I went ahead and took a safety pin and marked it, or a chain marker. I marked it right here so I'd know where to stop. Okay? So I went ahead and started. No, I started right here actually. I didn't start right here. I continued on. That's right. I'm going to show you another. I continued on with the color I was using. I got to the end of these straight rows. I came across doing it just like we had talked about, and I did my final stitch in this hole. Okay, so when you have an odd number, you're going to start right there again, which I'm going to show you in just a moment, how to start your next row with adding a color when you don't have the strip that you're already working with. Okay, and then I'm going to show you how to reduce as well. So, Mr. Cameraman, how many minutes are we at?
14.
14. Okay, we're going to stop right there then, and when you come back for part 2, I'm going to show you how to start the lobe, the second lobe, and also show you how to reduce the stitches and see if we can get to the finishing actually of it as well. That might go into a third part, but we'll see if we can do it in 2. So thank you, and I appreciate you viewing. So this ended up having 53 stitches across here, and I talked about you need to count the holes in order to decide how many holes you actually have, because that's going to determine where you're going to start or where you're going to end your first row. This one had 53, you're going to divide 53. If you had 54, you would divide by 2. Either way, you're going to divide by 2. If you ended up making a much larger rug that I talked about maybe doing, this is only 25 rows, I thought that made a nice size rug, but you might want to do 30 or 40 rows, and then you would have different numbers as you come across here. So let me teach you how to decide where the middle point is. This one had 53, you divide that by 2, that ends up being 26.5. So in the 27th hole, which is right here, I went ahead and marked it with a safety pin, or you could do a stitch marker, so I knew where to stop. I was continuing on, I had come to here, I had ended my row. You just transition just like you would have done with keeping it the same, and continue doing your single crochets down here. And then in this row would have been the final stitch. Okay, I'm going to show you how to decrease and how I decreased and made the rest of this. And I'm going to show you right here how to start, because this may be a little tricky for some people. You're going to start, because we're always going to work right to left, you're going to start here to make this other lobe. Okay, we're going to show you how to do that. And I was also going to show you really quickly, because I know that some of you like to see this, especially if you're not really familiar. The sheet yarn, I show you how to make sheet yarn on some of my other videos. This is what this looked like. And I rip as I go a lot of times anymore. I do make sheet yarn ahead some. You'll notice in my other videos I had some ahead. And there's a couple rows that are ahead of sheet yarn. However, for this one, I kind of was transitioning how I wanted to do this. I did like 4 strips of this color, and then I only did 3 of this one because I didn't have as much, and you can see what that looked like. In this particular instance, this went with the stripe. Okay, this one I went across the stripe, so you can see the different looks that you can achieve, and it's just endless possibilities of what you can do to change your rug and make it your own. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on how to start. Because we are starting, it was an odd number. If it's an odd number of it was 53 across in the 27th hole, which is the midway point, we're going to start in that same hole. If this had been 54, that would have been 28 stitches, Dad? 27 stitches. Okay, but 27 in an even fashion. Okay, so if this had been 54 stitches, I would have started it here, because we have an even number. If you have an odd, you're going to start it in the same hole. Does that make sense, Mr. Cameraman?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let me show you how to start it in the same hole. You can do it either way depending on how big your rug is. So we're going to start just like we did before. To get our needle ready, you're going to take the long end and cross it over the short end. Make sure you leave it long enough here, because you're going to have to thread it and finish it. No, I don't think I did. I think I did it differently in this one. You're going to, so let me start again. Cross over, push the material through, and there's your slip knot. Okay, then we're going to attach the material here. And I did just actually add it. I didn't actually have to finish it here. So let's see if I can make that look smooth and nice. So you're going to go into the hole, the same hole, because we have an odd number across. You're going to go into that. You're going to grab your material and pull it through. Okay? Then you're going to make this one. You're going to grab your material and pull this both of these through. It's a little bit tight to start off with, but once we get this, okay. Now we're going to do single crochets using this up all the way down, and it will blend in just fine. So you go into the hole, grab your material. Now remember, this is doubled and this is doubled because we're still using the tail to get rid of it. Cross over and pull them both off. Again, go into your hole, still single crochets in every hole. I've already dropped it because I've lost my tail. Okay, so that's the way you're going to work in. You're going to do single crochets all the way across. I'm not going to focus on the single crochets and talk about how to do that. You can watch, or you can see a slower version of it on part 1 or on Run a Rag Rug of Many Colors. I also show a single crochet by itself on one of my videos, and on How to Make an Oval Rug for Beginners 101. All those are a slowed down version of the single crochet. This would not be something you would start for the very first time. If you're not a crocheter already, you would go with a runner rag of many colors. Let's see how I like to use that bowl. Make sure, see how the hole seems like it's getting bigger? I'm going to cinch that up a little bit and kind of pull it this way so it doesn't get away from me. And again, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to cinch it up and kind of pull it so it doesn't get away from me. Then I'm going to kind of just resume back to the way I was. Occasionally I will do that if I feel like it just keeps on growing and getting wider and wider. So at the end here, we're going to show you how you're going to finish this when you're going to decrease your stitches. I'm also going to show you, we're going to add another color in a few minutes, show you how to do that. So I'm just moving along quickly here. It's very, very simple, but I must admit I had to rip it out many, many times in order to come up with, I had done it several different ways. I didn't like the way it finished. I ended up doing a little different, and I'm very pleased with this technique of reducing. You could reduce in a different way, but I got it looking more like towers, pyramids instead of rounded edges. So I had to adjust in order to get this nice rounded lobe. That's why it takes me a month or 6 weeks in between my videos that I upload, because I have to formulate and work through how to do my next rug for you. Okay, here's your final hole. You're just going to go in to your final hole just like the other one, and you do one single crochet. You're going to do just like every other row. You always do a chain stitch to move up. So cross over and pull it off without going in a hole. We're going to flip our work, and we're going to start coming across. What you do to reduce, this is the part. Daddy, I'm going to need you right over here. I'm sorry, Daddy is the same thing as Mr. Cameraman because he's my husband of 28 years. He's good enough to do this. Okay, so you're going to go over 3 stitches or 3 holes before you actually make your first single crochet. So here's your first one, here's your second one, and here's your third one. So you're going to go, loosen it up just a teeny bit, not too much, go into the third hole, and you're going to do your single crochet. Okay, now we're going to single crochet all the way across. You're going to complete it all the way on the end into the final row. This is what I had to work on. I didn't like when I was decreasing on both sides of both rows because it made it too sharp of a point to the top, and I was doing it with less stitches. So I'm doing it on a quicker pace, but I'm completing the row just the same as you would all the others if you're just moving up one until we flip it. That may sound confusing. If you just continue to watch for a couple moments, we'll show you again how to decrease and get that nice arch that we were getting. Okay, and I will also let you, the cameraman, zoom in on that lobe over there again in a minute to see how nicely rounded that lobe is if you use this technique, and really adds a nice flow to it. This rug was extremely fun to make. I'm not a heart person, I must admit. I'm not too frou-frou. However, really, really fun rug. I think I will be making more of these because it was really fun. Okay, I'm going to stop right there so I have enough room to show you how to add the material. So I already have the holes cut, and I already have several pieces together. So here's what you're going to fold your material over and you'd make your snip. Okay, but I've already done that. We're going to take the material you're adding. I show it much slower and how to make no-sew sheet yarn or no-sew sheet yarn tips, but we're just going to quickly show you here. So you're going to go into the hole that's the material that's already added to, that's already attached to the rug. You're going to put the new material through that hole that's there. This is 3 pieces that are already added together, which you can just do one at a time, and you go into the other end of the same strip. Go through it, and tighten it. This is the same when you're making t-shirt yarn. T-shirt yarn, you just have to do it not quite as aggressively, or it will tear or rip, and then you just pull it. Then I pull it one side and then the other, and now we have it attached. So it's a very simple process, and I now use that as opposed to sewing, which I used to sew only, but I really like this no-sew method. And it hides it well. Some people still prefer to stitch and sew it, and that's fine. And you see, we just keep right on going. Now, I did a formula when I made these rugs because I didn't have a lot of this pink, this brighter pink with a blue, so I used less pieces. Now, I also used a solid pink, and I made those longer, and I made the striped light pink one that we just were using. More of it because I had more of it. So that's what you kind of need to do in order to balance it out and get through your rug. If you have more of one or the other and you still want to use it, but you want to use it throughout the rug, you have got to come up with some sort of game plan of how to do that. So we're going to continue on. We're going to follow it right to the end of this lobe that we're working on. Now see, here's where we added. So this hole kind of has to push through a little bit. Okay, and we're going to go right in here. And we're going to go, let's see, no, I don't think we are going to go right in there. That didn't do as well, I must admit. If I was going to do it myself, I'm going to try it and see what happens. Yep, that hides it. So we're going to do that. I'm going to hide it that way.
That's 14.
Okay, so now we're going to do one chain stitch to move it up, just like every row has a chain stitch. And we're going to flip our work, because remember, we work right to left. I'm going to show you how to do this decreasing one more time, and then we're going to have to go to episode 3 or part 3 in order to show you how to end it. So, in order to decrease this stitch, remember we already showed you how to do this. We're going to go to the third hole. 1, 2, 3. Loosen it up just a little bit. Go over to the third hole and do a single crochet, but just in the third hole. Okay, do a couple stitches and show you what it looks like. And this is the technique you use. Okay, so see how it's starting to come down. See how lovely that is? And it even hid that knot there that we had. So it really does hide a world of sins. When we come back, I'm going to show you how to finish the top here, where to finish it, and how to actually finish the rug, so you can, see how to do that. And I'm also going to talk about how you do the very tip of it on this one. Show you how to feed this in and end that as well. So thank you for joining me. I'll see you at part 3. Coming right along here, I'm going to show you how to finish this rug. So we're doing single crochets right across. And in the other videos, it shows you how to do that. We're going to go into the last hole, do a single crochet. Okay, and we're going to finish it right here. You could go up one more. Now let's see. I'm going to flip your work after you do a one chain stitch. Let me look actually. Okay, we're going to go one more row. This is how you decrease. 1, 2, 3. There's 3. You're going to go to the third hole. Do your single crochet. Single crochet all the way across. Single crochet. There you go. So now this is how we're going to finish this. We're going to pull this through, and after we get this little loop, we're going to right there. Now watch how we feed it through with a tapestry needle to finish it. This is a little bit shorter than I like to finish it with, to be very honest with you. Okay, so we're going to find a place and slip it in. Now I want to show you, we're not going to finish it going that direction because I think it's going to look bad. We're going to finish it going this direction. Okay? So we're going to finish it coming this direction. So you have to do that when you're looking at your different places. And you just find a place to pull it through. Pull. Feed that down just a little bit. Let's see. Feed it through a couple more places. I'd like to do it. You really should have it a little longer than this to make it easier on yourself. And then just trim it once you get to that point. I'm going to still do maybe one more spot. Okay. Now watch how you do this. See? You really can't see unless you really scrutinize your work. You're going to pull it a little bit, give it an extra little tug like that. You're going to make sure you don't cut anything else. Cut it, and then pull it back the other way. And see how it slipped in there? And you can't even see it. Okay. So I'm going to show you one more thing. I'm not going to actually finish it. I'm going to talk about finishing. This was the beginning. This was the tip down here. So you had your little tip here. Okay, when I showed you how to do this. You are going to, this would be a better length than what I showed you up there of how to finish it. You're not going to pull it back. I mean, you're not going to pull it this way, I think. Well, let's see. I suppose you could do it that way. I don't like that look. I'm going to do it this way. So when I was doing it, I would do the same thing. I've already done that little knot, and then I would feed it through and finish it. Okay? So that's what you're going to do. One more thing that I'm going to talk to you about. This is something that you could do if you decided you wanted to finish this rug. I am not going to do it. I like this look. I like the edges like this. However, you could do a single crochet all the way around, perhaps starting right here, follow all the way around. You would add some extra single crochets perhaps if you needed to as you made these corners. What the trick would be, the only reason that I would do it, is if you came down here to the very end, you would do 3 single crochets maybe in this very end, and that would give it a sharper point, and then follow it around. Or if you thought you wanted to bring one of the colors out a little bit more, you might do a border on it as well. So those are some different techniques, some other ways you could finish it. But I'm not going to do that. I kind of just like this look, and I tend to like things in a more simpler fashion. So thank you for joining me for how to make a heart crocheted rag rug. This showed you how to finish it. You can see episodes 1 and 2 to see how to get started and how to move along. Thank you for joining me. Hello. Thank you for joining me for Rag Rugs by Erin. I'm Erin Halvorsen. We're going to be talking today about putting a border on a heart rug, and this technique can be used to put it on any rug. But I'm going to show you a couple different borders. This one is done with a double crochet, leaving some spaces in between, and you can see how lovely that is. And then this one is a single crochet, and we'll show you how to finish that. I'm going to show you here on this rug, and this is the rug that we're actually going to be working on. So we're going to transform this rug, which is a plain rug, which I absolutely love, to be honest with you, just the plain lines, so it is not necessary to put a border on, but I'm going to show you the transformation of seeing how much it can make putting any kind of border on a rug can really make it pop and change the look of it. So let's go get started, and I will show you the tools first really quickly, and then start moving along. So of course we're going to use a crochet hook. This is a 10 millimeter, which is probably an N. I use an N or an O most of the times, occasionally a Q. You use what's comfortable for you. There's a good pair of scissors, really, really important to always use a good pair of scissors. And then you also need a crochet, a tapestry needle or a yarn needle. Okay, so that big wide hook and the dull end. That's what you're going to need to finish it. Alright, so I'm going to put this back on so we don't lose it, and I'll go ahead and show you how to get started.
In both of these instances, I went ahead and used, Mr. Cameron, you can come around on the side. I went ahead and used 2 strands of material. So I did 2 strands of sheet yarn, and I went ahead and rolled a little bit together, and I alternated colors because I did not have enough of the colors that were in this to just do one solid thing around. So I'm changing it up, and this is a good way. You can use different colors that bring it out, and also you could do this single with 1 strand of sheet yarn. I just thought it looked particularly nice with 2. So we're going to show you with the 2. It would be simpler with the single, but let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start like any other time. We're going to do a slip knot. Let me show you. Go over with the long end. Pull the long end through. Leave it long enough, because I'm going to try to incorporate that in. Tighten it up just a little bit. And actually what I did last time, and I really like this technique, so we'll see. I'm going to start right here. That's where I started on the last one. I put my hook through and put my material on the other side. Okay? Like that, the slip, and pulled it through. Then I took my material, but I took all of it. So you really have 4 strands. You have the 2 that are coming off the ball and the 2 that are the tails that we're going to incorporate in so we can get rid of them. So it's a little bulky and a little awkward, but we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to be working on a double crochet, but this first stitch isn't quite a full double crochet because of the way we're starting. So you put it through like this. You're going to cross over with your sheet yarn, now using all 4 strands, and you're going to pull it off. Now you're going to pull it off again. Okay. Now what you're going to do is we're going to pretend like that's a double crochet to start off with. We will go to a double crochet, but you're just going to do like a single crochet and then a chain stitch. Now we're actually going to do chain stitches to bring us over to the next hole that we're going to use. You could go in here, you could go in here, and just do chain stitches across here. So there's all sorts of variations that you could use. I'm going to skip on this one and go to these larger holes is what I'm going to use for this particular one. Okay, so you're going to make 2 to 3 chain stitches depending on the width of your stitches already. So we're going to see how many we're going to use. 1, cross over and pull it through. 2, cross over, and see it's very bulky to start off with, but it gets much easier. Okay, we're going to pretend this is your stitch to there, and you tried to get it far enough over to meet that hole. Okay, now we're actually going to do our first double crochet. So you're going to cross over and go into your hole. Grab your material. Oh, that's what I see. This is going to end up being cut off. But so you're going to cross over, go into your hole, grab your 2 strands of material. So now you really have 3. 1, 2, 3. This is the double crochet. I also show you in another video how to do a double crochet, and you can refer to that. Then you cross over and pull 2 of the strands off. Now you still have 2 left. 1, 2. Cross over and pull them both off. That's your first double crochet. Now you're going to do 2 or 3 chain stitches. Sometimes if you're tighter you might only do 1, but I think 2 in most instances is going to work. 1, 2. We did 3 on the first one. Yes, I think that'll work. So we did 2 chain stitches, then we're going to cross over, because we're doing a double crochet, go into our hole, grab our material. Okay, so there's 3, 1, 2, 3, cross over and pull the first 2 off. Cross over again and pull the next 2 off. Then we're going to do 2 chain stitches. Now you're going to have to maybe occasionally, I'm going to go quickly because I want to get to the corners where I do other things. You're going to have to adapt and add more chain stitches or less chain stitches according to how you like the look, or if it's pulling one way or the other. And that you're going to have to, with some experience, decide what you're going to use. So here we're going to do 1, 2, and see, I don't feel like that's far enough, so I'm going to do a third one this time, a third chain stitch. So here's that hole. I'm going to grab the material, go into the hole, grab the material, cross over and pull 2 off, cross over and pull 2 off. Now this is me using a double crochet. On the one rug, all I did was do a single crochet. I'm going to show you that in just a minute. So we're going to do some chain stitches and see how many we want. I think 2 is enough on this time. Alright, so I'm going to go do a double crochet into this hole. This is what I wanted to show you, how as you're coming around certain corners or areas on an irregular shaped rug, you might have to do something different. So that was a double crochet in that hole. Now I'm looking at this. I want it to come around. I'm going to do another double crochet in that same hole. Cross over into the hole, grab the material, pull 2 of them off, and 2 more off. Okay, now I'm going to do a couple chain stitches and see where I'm going to go next. See, this can be altered as you move along. Okay, now see how this line is different than this one. So I'm going to grab in more places as I go down this one. This is how you can change it up and make each one look different. Still continuing with double crochets and chain stitches depending on the look that you're going for. This may be something that you start one way, pull a few stitches out, and decide you want to skip some or add extra chain stitches. And you're going to have to just go with the look that you want. They know 2 have to be the same. Okay. Let me do another couple of these stitches, and then we're going to talk about a couple things, and I'm going to show you how to end it. Doing chain stitches. Okay, let's see what we look like. So now, Mr. Camera, if you can back out a little bit, and see, this is the border on this rug so far. All right, you'd have to come back and trim these, and when you come back around, you're going to come down in here, and you're going to grab into here, which I'm going to show you on another one, and how to hide your tail when you finish it. Let's talk about something else. I'm going to show you down here on the point. When you get down here to the point of a heart, or if you have another heart, another rug that you're finding some sort of point, a square or a rectangle or something like that, when you find the point, you would put 3 single crochets or 3 double crochets, whatever it is the border that you're doing, you're going to want to put 3 into this hole. Okay? Now, Mr. Cameraman, I'm going to go ahead and grab the rug as it's finished and show you. See how I did 3? Well, in this one, I actually did 2, and then very close together did 2 more because I thought that's what it needed. And then I didn't put as many chain stitches, and in this one I didn't use any chain stitches. See, and I've actually probably pulled that out a couple times and decided on what to do. So you have to be willing to change it up a little bit, but I wanted you to see. Now here, there's 3 single crochets in this same hole, giving you that point. So I did use 3 single crochets. This is what a single crochet could look like. Also using 2 strands. This is a much simpler way to do it, and someone that's maybe doing it for the first time and hasn't crocheted very much, you may just want to do it that way. And then try some other things to see how that would look. But I'm going to quickly show you again how beautiful this rug looks with this double crochet. This is where it needs to be trimmed, and this is where I started it and where I ended it. Now I'm going to show you on this other rug how to finish This one I started a little lower on the single crochet, but I'm going to show you how to finish this. Let me find my hook. Here we go.
12.
So what you would do on finishing this, I came down here, and this is where I started. I actually started in that hole on this one, so I'm going to do a single crochet. I'm going to go into this hole, grab my material, cross over, and pull them both off. Okay. And then I'm going to pull this out. This is my last stitch. Feed that through here. Tighten it up. And then I'm going to take my tapestry needle or my yarn needle. This is where you need that good pair of scissors. I'm going to make this all one length because that's getting too much to work with. I'm going to thread these through the yarn needle. See that nice big hole. Make sure you use a metal one and not a plastic one, because I don't do very well with plastic ones personally. Okay, now what I did, how I finished this off, is I just went in, see how it almost looks like a little serpentine stitch across here, the single crochet. All it is single crochet, is I just went like this. Because all these strings, I can feel the resistance. There we go. And then I just went to the next one. Kept on pulling it back around. And just fed it up as far as I thought I could go. You know, maybe 6 to 11 stitches up. You kind of knotted it already there, but this will hide it and blend it all together. Okay, so there we go. There's our tail that was left on the other one when I double crocheted and finished it the same way and then trimmed it. Now remember, this is a rag rug. It is not perfect. Some of you have really realistic views and realize that it hides a world of sins and it isn't perfect. Mine aren't either. And some of you worry incredibly that it isn't perfect. Please do not worry. Enjoy it. That's what it's meant for. It's meant for you to enjoy it, to give it as a gift or use it in your home. So thank you for joining me, and see me next time on my next episode. Subscribe.